Hi everybody! I've got something special coming up next Monday that I want to dress very joyfully and colorfully for. It's a fresh start for me and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm gonna meet a bunch of new people and I know that they are a very joyful bunch, so I want to dress accordingly. I have had this idea of making an organza blouse for quite a while now. I never got around to doing it. I know that you guys love it when I make dresses, and no worries, there will be more dresses on this channel very soon. It's at the moment a little bit too cold for them here in London, but I'm working on it, so stay patient. Today we're gonna make a blouse and it's a really easy make too. I want to make an organza blouse, so I bought this absolutely gorgeous silk organza. It's 100% polyester. It's called silk organza because it has this beautiful shimmer to it, and the great thing about this is that it's relatively opaque for organza, which I think is going to make the blouse easier to wear eventually. And it has this very beautiful color too. It's this cool pink, which I think is so pretty. Really love this. I got 2 meters of this, so I have plenty to work with. I also got it in this amazing blue color. I couldn't resist, but this is probably gonna be a dress at some point. So this is what I'm working with today. So let me show you my design idea. All right, so the idea is basically this. This is the inspo pic. It's very pink, it's very millennial, it's very fun and easygoing, looks great with jeans, looks very me. I just love it. This picture has been hanging out on my various of my Pinterest boards for ages. It's quite old. I feel like it's done its rounds on the internet. This actually was sent to me also by somebody at some point in the last couple of years, if I could make it. So now's the moment. So basically, I'm not gonna change much about this design. I really like it. So I'm thinking crew neck, very simple, and then having these like ruffles coming up, like this little standing collar situation, very simple shoulders. And then I have this bodice from a pattern that I'm working on, spoiler alert, that has this really nice top that has these ruffles in the bust. So I'm thinking I'm going to repurpose that top real simply, and then I'm going to add a peplum to the bottom of it to make it look a little something like that. And then very simple long sleeves, voluminous long sleeves like that are going to be gathered at the cuff, and they're also going to have these cute ruffles down here. And something that I'm thinking of doing is cutting out this bodice section here twice, and the reason for doing that is because it's quite a see-through fabric, but if I double it up it's relatively opaque and I can wear whatever I want underneath and it still looks professional. So I think I'm gonna do 2 layers of this piece here. What do you think? I like it. It's very cute. It's very playful, but at the same time not too revealing. I like it. Oh, and then obviously the back is a moment here too. And that's what I'm gonna make. Simple enough. Let's go for it. So I've got this pattern here that I will hopefully soon share more about, but I'm going to hack this today to make into this blouse. So I've got the pattern, got my goods, got the fabric. So let's place stuff down. Well, that was easy. Let's sew them together. So what I've just done is I sewed in the darts in the back, which I'm going to press in a second, and I pinned together the 2 layers of my front piece, which I'm now going to baste in place so nothing's moving too much in the assembly process. I think that's going to make it easier for me later on. So I'm going to baste the neck hole and the underbust seam. Okay, here we go. Front is basted together, so now it's more like one cohesive piece. Now I'm going to quickly press my back darts and then we can assemble the upper side of the blouse. All right, darts are pressed, and now this is my right side. It's facing up and I'm placing the back side pieces, right sides touching. With the front, I'm going to pin together the shoulder and the side seams. Okay, Okay, now we have a bodice that is open in the back as it should be. Looks really pretty. I love this fabric so much. It just sparks joy. I think this is dopamine dressing to the nines. So I think what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna serge my inside seams. Now I think I'm gonna do this with a white thread because I don't have the exact pink one and I'm not sure this will even be seen from the outside, but I will do a test piece. So this is the test piece. Looks good enough. With the original piece, they serged the ends and made it visible from the outside. It was like a design element of the blouse. I don't really like to do that, so I'm just gonna do this on the inside. Okay, inside seams are serged. Looks real cute. Happy with it. And now I'm going to actually attach the peplum, which is this piece. And I cut it so that the selvage is my hem, so I don't actually have to hem this, and it looks super clean. Now what I'm gonna do, this is really just a rectangle that is really quite wide, so I can gather it up. I'm first going to find the midpoint, so I can make this my center front because the center back is evidently open. Now I'm going to add a basting stitch on top here that is not closed at the beginning and the end, so I'm not going to backstitch, and I'm going to do this with a stitch length of 5. So fun fact, another way for me to assess what's front and what's back here is by doing this. When it makes this noise, like sand, that's the back side, so that's the left side. When I turn this around, it's not as strong. It's there, but it's not as strong. So when it's not as strong, it's silkier, so that's the right side. Smart tip of the day. I just added the basting stitch up here. This is my center front point, placing the peplum right sides touching with the top like this. And then I'm gonna place a pin here. I'm also going to place a pin at the center back where the peplum ends. And now I can concentrate on one side and I can start to gather up one side of the peplum towards the center front. So I have this strip here, really, that's all it is, that has the selvage here on top, which is what I'm going to use as finished edge. And then this wiggly waggly cut here is from my wiggly waggly hands. I'll pop this into my machine and I'll give it 2 basting stitches. And I'm gonna do that about 3 centimeters away from my straight edge, the edge that I know is straight. Okay, so basting stitch is attached. I recommend doing 2 rows because that's gonna make it much easier for you to keep things flat once they're actually gathered. I did just 1 row earlier and it's just a hassle. Don't do that, do 2 rows. It's gonna save you some time down the road. I'm gonna fold this in the middle. This is an arbitrary piece in terms of length. It's just longer than I know. No, not here. I wanna keep this. Now I ruined it. Other side. It's fine, no one will see it. Okay, so midpoint, blouse, midpoint, and then I'm gonna also pin it down here in the back. And now I can start to gather up the standing collar. All right, so this is now pinned along the neck hole, and I will sew this down now, and then the standing collar will hopefully reveal itself. Alright, so the bodice is assembled. This is what we have now. The standing collar looks really cute as well. Inside looks like this. I serged all of my seams and we're very close to the final touches. We are now going to work on the sleeves. I went ahead and added a basting stitch to the top of the sleeves, 2 to be exact. Now before I'm going to gather the shoulder curve and put it into my bodice, I'm going to put the sleeve right sides touching like this, and then I'm going to sew down the side seam before I work on the cuff. I decided to give the side seam of the sleeve a French seam, and the first step for that is to place the piece left sides touching and give that a stitch. Okay, now that I've sewn the first time, this is now currently on the wrong side. So the wrong side is looking out, but we have a clean seam on the wrong side and the seam allowance in the left side. Now what I'm gonna do is I'll cut back the seam allowance by, so it's probably a little below 1/2 centimeter. Now that I've cut it back, I can press this, which I've already done, and sew 1/2 centimeter away from this outer corner. Now I'll turn this right side out like this, and we have a clean finish on the outside of the sleeve. And now I'm going to press this down. All right, now let's insert the sleeve. For that, I'm placing the piece right side up. I'm grabbing my sleeve and I'm going to find the side seam, which is here. And then I'm going to place the side seam of the sleeve a little bit inset from the side seam of the bodice into the front bodice like this. And that's just because we are moving our hands forwards rather than backwards, and that's going to give us that natural tilt towards the front. And now I'm just going to go ahead and pin in the sleeves from this angle first until I reach the notch in my sleeve, which is also where my basting stitches start. So here's the notch, this is where I stop pinning, and then same thing to the back. And now I'm going to reach into the blouse, so into the blouse, grabbing my side seam. And now I open the armhole like this, and I'm finding my center shoulder notch in the armhole curve of my sleeve, and I'm placing that onto my shoulder sleeve in the bodice. And now I have the same amount of ease towards the front and the back. And now I'm grabbing the 2 upper or 2 lower threads of my basting stitch on one side, and I can start to gather up the ease so it fits into the armhole curve of the bodice. Okay, once it's pinned in, it should look a little something like this on the outside, and we can sew the shoulder curve. If this isn't dopamine dressing, I don't know what is. Like, she's everything. I love it. Not quite finished, let's work on the cuffs. I got 4 strips here, and they're in a random distance or width and in a random length. And now they look like this. And I'm gonna attach these in 2 sections to the back of the blouse, and then it's time for the final reveal.
All that I crave when you're away, nights are sleepless.